Hi, I'm Helen Riley and we're here today to do a body protector fitting. I'm going to fit our lovely model Jasmine here today to show you the best way to go through and talk the customer through how you fit in the body protector to make sure you get a really super fit and that it's really comfortable for them to wear once they walk out of store. So we're going to start off by taking Jasmine's measurements. So I just get a tape measure. And all manufacturers' body protectors are different sizing. So if the customer comes in and says, I'm an adult small in one type of body protector, then that's not necessarily what they'll be in another. So always better to take the measurement yourself. So we're going to start off by taking the waist to waist. That's the most important measurement. Now the waist to waist is taken over the shoulder, and we take the tape measure from the waist at the front, over the widest part of the chest, just down to the waist point on the back. We're not taking in any back length, just the waist to waist at this point. Now, so that you know where the waist is situated, as men tend to think it's situated on their waistband of their trousers, which is nearly their hips, we'll just demonstrate that it's at the point where the customer bends. So if you just ask them to tip forward there, like this, you can see that the tape measure is just in that tipping point. And that way the body protector won't be too far over that point and push up when they're riding. So same position on the back. So if we can just turn to see that we're just taking in waist to waist, no back length measurement at all at this point. So we take the measurement and then we take the chest measurement. And I would suggest at the moment that we do this from behind the customer. So you can ask the customer to aid by holding the tape measure in place over the widest part of the chest while you take the measurement from behind. And then you do the same, and the customer can hold that for you on the waist so that you can be sure that it's in the correct position to take the reading. And once you have those three crucial measurements, you can then check the manufacturer's size chart. So as I said, all manufacturers' garments are different. So everyone will have their size chart on their garment, on their notice to users, which comes in a little pack like this or a little booklet, and the size chart is here. And then you will take your customer's measurements, look down at the waist to waist, the chest and the waist, and you get the nearest fit, and then you can try that garment on the customer. So this is one I selected earlier for Jasmine, and I would just ask the customer to pop their arms back at the same time, and then you can just hang it on the arms and slide it up onto the shoulders, pull out any ponytails so that it's not getting caught and feeling uncomfortable. And at this point you can just take a quick cursory glance as to the back length and then we can see if the body protector is going to fit in the waist and be the right width. So if you could just turn towards me, Jasmine, a little bit, that's perfect, thank you. Ask the customer not to try and zip it up themselves, because at this point, as you can see, the body protector is quite splayed apart and the zip is actually quite wide apart, and they will try and fasten this up themselves, and they may struggle without you showing them the correct technique. So ask the customers to pop the thumbs into the armholes of the jacket, pull it round the front and push it down on the waist so that that is in the correct position on the waist. It's pulling it down on the shoulder, so pulling it nice and close on the shoulders and positioning it correctly for you to be able to easily get in there and help them to zip it up. You can show them how to do it on their own after, but for a starting point, that's really a good way. It keeps their elbows tipped up as well. So when fastening the zip, and I know it sounds obvious, but do make sure that the female part of the zip slider is right down into the male part before you start to zip it up. That way you won't be struggling in front of the customer. Just push the foam in and zip up really easily. Ask the customer to remain in this position, still pushing down on the waist, and that, as I said, is holding these elbows up, and it does mean then you can get in very easily to the lacing to be able to fasten that up nice and tight on the body. So if you could just turn a fraction for me, Jasmine, just so that we're able to see the lacing, and I'm going to come around here now and start to fasten you in. So we start at the top and we pull the lacing together, one pair at a time, until it's quite snug on the body. Pull the toggles in and then start on the other side. And again, one pair of laces at a time, nice and snug. You want the body protector to be fitting really nice and close because the foam in the body protectors is heat sensitive. And once the body protector is touching the body, that body heat can start to get into the foam and really start to work its magic. And once that foam starts softening up, the body protector will become really soft and supple and really comfortable. If the body protector remains loose on the customer, then the body heat won't get into the foam. The foam will remain stiffer than it needs to, and therefore will be more uncomfortable than it needs to. So it's really important that you do get a nice close fit. And you can tell straight away if it's fitting the customer nice and tight, because on the back you start to form this nice S shape. You see it comes out at the shoulder blades, goes in at the waist, so it's fitting snug on the waist, and then starts to splay out at the back. By gripping in at the waist like this, this will stop the jacket from moving when the customer is riding in that riding action. So back length, now we can have a look, and we're going to check that the back foam is just covering the back area. It should not be coming down onto the bottom. So where the back stops and the bottom starts is where your foam should be stopping, and that looks just about right. But we are going to check that in a moment in a sitting position. If you have a saddle in store, obviously you can sit the customer in a saddle, but today for to show you, we'll just sit on a flat seat and we can have a look at that. But lastly, we just need to check the front length. So if you just turn around to me, Jasmine. And so we want to know now that this foam is at least 1 inch below the lowest rib, and we're measuring the rib where the rib comes up at the front, not at the side. Okay, the side measurement has already been taken care of, and we now want to know if it's covering the customer's rib at the front. So to check that, rather than having to put your hands up inside the body protector, which is what we used to do for years and years, we've discovered this great way, taught to us by a medic. And basically, if you ask the customer to fold their arm at a 90-degree angle across the front, the upper arm is the same length and meets where that lowest rib is at the front. So you just place your finger just behind the customer's wrist, just by the zip there, and then ask the customer to take away their hand, and then you can see how much foam is below that rib point. We're quite good. We've got at least an inch and a half, inch and 3/4. So next we're going to check that it's now fitting all over, that the foam is touching really nice and close, that body heat is getting into the foam. So we're going to push it down on the shoulders, make sure that it's not rising up, and we haven't got any gaps here. And if you were to press in one of the grooves into the foam where the foam is stitched, just on the shoulder blade there, you can start to form it around the customer, and that will start to sit very nicely. So front is all good. We're just going to check the back length again. So as I said, we're measuring from the bottom of the foam, not this extra piece of fabric here. So curl this back and just have a look that that foam is stopping where the back stops. And I always say to myself, if it's covering anything of the bottom at all, then it's starting to border on being a little bit too long, and you can go for a regular back length, a short back length, or as Jasmine here is wearing, a tall back length. If Jasmine was to feel that that was a little bit long, we could go 1 inch shorter and have a regular back length. So we'll check this on a seat if you don't have a saddle in store. And we're just going to check that there is going to be enough clearance from the back of the saddle. So we're looking for good clearance. Many people have said a hand's distance without the thumb between the bottom of the body protector and the seat. However, all of our hands are different sizes. So for a little bit more accuracy, I will just get my handy tape measure And just to show you that there is plenty of clearance and what you're looking for, we have 14 centimetres clearance, which is plenty. And again, as I said, you can see that that foam is stopping where the back stops and just before the bottom. It shouldn't be protecting any part of the bottom. Okay, Jasmine, if you could stand up for me. So we'll just take that away and just have a final check. And as I said, we're happy with how that is sitting on the back. You can see that that is starting to form a really nice S shape. Jasmine's only been wearing the body protector for 5 minutes and already it's starting to mould to Jasmine's shape, and that heat is getting into that heat sensitive foam. So I'm happy with that. Would you be happy with that as a customer, Jasmine? Yep. Okay, and then if we just turn around and we take it off, and then we just teach the customer how to zip it up themselves. So we start by undoing the zip, and then we ask the customer again, pop your thumbs in the armholes, pull it round on yourself, grip it under your arms, come down to your zip, bring it up onto the foam slightly, pull it in again, tuck your foam in and zip. And then Jasmine, do again on your own now with those instructions. Simple as that. Okay, so we've now got a nicely fitting body protector that's really started to mould to Jasmine's shape, and the body heat is starting to get into that foam. So it must by now be super flexible. How's it feeling, really, Jasmine?
Good. Yeah, it's really
super flexible. Yep. Excellent. So thank you very much, everybody, and stay safe.